unlike the rest of the world, who's riveted to 20 people kicking a ball around, some of us have had the. I thought the class would be no competition to the World Cup, but look at that. We have most people here. Some people out of town. Diana's out of town, and the point was about the Torah, not about the World Cup. But yes, whoever it is. Either way, so as the old joke goes, I'm sure everyone knows this joke. As the joke goes about everyone knowing the jokes, right? This fellow walks into a shul, walks into a synagogue, and he sees a bunch of the shul regulars sitting around. And one guy says 17, and everyone bursts out laughing. Right? Everyone knows the joke. One guy says 34. That's fine, and everyone bursts out laughing. So the newcomer says, "What's going on?" So listen, we get together every Shabbos, and we say jokes, and we end up saying the same jokes every week, right? There's not that many new jokes. So we gave labels to the jokes, right? Joke number 1, joke number 2, joke number 3. So now instead of saying the joke, you just say number 17. Everyone starts laughing. So the newcomer says, "Well, let me try it," right? And he says 54. No one laughs. So he says, "Wait, is there no joke 54? So the regular says, "You didn't say it right. You didn't say it right." Either way, so what? Sure. So exactly. I thought you were going to say I'm becoming a social media star. I need to have so I'm going to have people doing makeup and everything. Either way, so the old joke goes is that this old Yid, this old Jew is driving on the highway, and he gets a frantic call from his wife that she heard on the radio that there's this meshuggah, this crazy guy going the wrong way on the highway. And she's just calling him to be careful, that you should watch out of this drunk driver who's going the wrong way on the highway. So he says, one guy, they're all going the wrong way on the highway. Right? He was the one going the wrong way. Either way, so even though it's a joke, it's actually a very, very, very deep concept. We can have a whole class on that, but we prepared a fascinating class without that. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's going the wrong way. The point is that the idea is that the world is everyone is going one way on the highway. Right? I looked up just because I was curious how many people tuned into the World Cup this morning. Any guess how many people tuned in? Besides those that I told you. I don't know, but 1.5 billion people are tuned in. That's the whole world going the wrong way on the highway. Now let me prove it, right? Now it's 1.5 billion people watching. You know how many billions of dollars they're making on this? However, I guarantee that maybe in 10 years, I don't think in 10 weeks people are going to be talking about this, but maybe in 10 years people will still remember. In 50 years, no one's going to care what happened between 9 and 11:30 Hawaii time, on whatever the day is today. No one's going to care. It's not going to matter at all. There's going to be a new World Cup if they'll still be playing soccer. Right? It's probably everyone's going to be watching robots playing soccer. But the Torah, right? And what I printed out for you today, all these quotes are from 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. I say it almost every week, but it's true. It's still true. And so this will be relevant long, long past people have already forgotten who won the World Cup. And for me, it's very refreshing. I'll tell you, I told my wife today that I don't know if people are going to show up because there's a big sports game. She's like, I thought that was happening like a month ago. I was like, I know, it's a whole summer. So to me, it's refreshing because wherever I go now, it's like, who are you going for? Argentina, Spain? Like, you think like nothing else is happening in the world. But then I come in today and everyone's like, who's playing? Jacob's like, is Italy playing? Is France playing? So it's refreshing to be in a crowd of sane people. Either way, so after that plug for the class is over, well, actually one more plug for the class, and then we'll get to the actual class. The plug for the class is that last week Lisa had brought a friend of hers. Apparently it wasn't interesting enough for her to come back again. But, no, I'm joking. She's a busy lady. But, and Esther joined the class today, so a shout out to Esther. And if everyone brings one friend, soon we'll be as popular as the World Cup, right? Everyone just needs to bring one friend. They say an old legend that the person who created the game of chess. Now, that's an interesting class for itself. Who created chess? The Talmud speaks about chess already. Some people say King Solomon created chess. But the story goes, legend goes, that this fellow created chess and he brought it to the king. Back in the ancient name for chess is actually ishkaki. Ishkaki, that was the ancient name for chess. And he brings it to the king, and the king was amazed by this game of chess. He was blown away. So he said, how can I reward you? So the king tells this fellow who had brought him the game of chess, you have two options. Either you could choose a huge sack of gold coins. No. I messed the story up. The king says, what can I give you? Now the king thought he's going to ask for a huge sack of gold coins, but the person who made the game of chess, he said, no, I want one kernel of grain. One kernel of grain on the first square of the chessboard. There's 64 squares on the chessboard. It's 8 by 8. One kernel of grain, and I want that every square on the chessboard, you double the kernel. So 1, then 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, then 32, right? And the king thought, what? Ridiculous. I'll cut one field of wheat. You just lost out on an opportunity of a lifetime. However, if you do the math, the person who made chess was a smart guy. And by the time he got to number 64, the king had to sell his entire kingdom just to keep his agreement. So the idea is that if one friend tells another friend, then pretty soon we'll have to get a bigger room. Okay, let's get to the actual class. The people that are not here are actually missing out because this is an unbelievable idea. Mind-blowing. Last week, we switched from square tables to round tables. And that was ultimately what the whole class was about, right? The square branches, the round branches. Today, last week I was sitting over there, and this week I'm sitting over here. So we changed direction. Now, you would think it's because Ron has big plans for my social media presence. But if you would think that, you'd be mistaken. The real reason is, no, not even, I don't need to see the TV. The real reason is because it's a Kabbalistic class, and the whole content of today's class is going to be about which direction. So, let's see. Bein Hamitzarim-Beit Hamikdash, as we spoke the last couple of weeks, is that we're now in the period of time where we're mourning the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, of the temple. This Thursday is the big day, or the infamous day. This Thursday is the 9th of Av, the saddest day on the Jewish calendar. It's Wednesday night from 7:15, maybe 7:13, so 7:10 to be safe. Wednesday night from 7:10 till Thursday night at 7:53, around, give or take. So that is 25 hours. Wednesday night to Thursday night is the saddest 25 hours of the Jewish calendar. It's when the Beis Hamikdash was burnt. And we mourn. So you were asking, Bruce, you were asking about a fast. You fasted yesterday, but it's actually on Thursday, so you're going to have to do it again. Yeah, but it doesn't count. You need to do it again on Thursday. We fast. We don't sit on chairs until Thursday day. You sit on the ground or low chairs. And you shouldn't eat or drink, and you shouldn't take a shower or go in any water. And you shouldn't wear leather shoes. And from Wednesday night, no, not the whole week. No, you should definitely shower between now and Thursday. But between Wednesday night and Thursday night, that's the 9th of Av. It's 24 hours, basically like Yom Kippur. It's a mini Yom Kippur. Rush asking where it comes from. It comes from the Talmud. A little bit, it's sourced from the Torah. The Torah says, what's the idea of leather? Because leather, it's a good question. Leather, back in the day, if you didn't wear leather shoes, it basically meant walking barefoot because there was no Crocs and. Exactly, that's the point. The real idea is to walk barefoot for 25 hours. Nowadays, we have all different sorts of materials, and you could wear Crocs, and it's actually more comfortable. So it's kind of a loophole which does away with this, but. Yes, you could go to work. It is if you don't have to show up at work. Like if you're an entrepreneur, for example, it's better not to. But if you're going to lose your job, then don't lose your job over. But if, for example, you could, the things that you need to fix up, you could push it off at least till Thursday midday. The main thing is Wednesday night till Thursday midday. Right? If the second half of the day is less, it's better not to go to work. That's true. If the person has to work, they have to work, but better not. But it's not like a Shabbos. You could be on your phone. You could. Either way, so this is, and we spoke already a couple of weeks ago that Hashem says that when the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, like it has been for the last 2,000 years, when you learn about the Beis Hamikdash, you bring it alive. So the last couple of weeks, we've been learning every week about another piece of the Beis Hamikdash with the intent to bring it back to life. A little bit about its physical form and a little bit about the spiritual significance. And this week we're going to get to, since this week is the peak of the 3 weeks, the height of it, we're going to learn about the most important piece in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Holy of Holies. And it was on the screen, but with all my introductions, the screen got bored. So let's turn it back on. Right there. Right? So I'm sure everyone's familiar with that. That is the Aron Kodesh, right? Known in Hebrew as the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark. And the Beis Hamikdash, we probably should have pulled it up as well, but too late. But the Beis Hamikdash was a huge structure. And the way it was structured was the more close in you got, the further in you got, the holier it became. And that had ramifications for who could go and where. So, for example, a regular Jew was only allowed into basically the front half. Past that, you had to be a Kohen, right? And even that, there's different types of Kohens. There was a Kohen that was working in the Beis Hamikdash, and the Kohen that wasn't working. And the Kohen that wasn't working could only go till a certain point, right? It got holier and holier. In fact, there was a lot of different sections, but the second to last section was called the Kodesh, which means the holy place. And the innermost section was called the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which means the Holy of Holies. And that no one was allowed to go in. Besides for the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, once a year. So the holiest time of the year is Yom Kippur. The holiest person in the world was the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and the holiest place. Time, space, and person, right? They all met up. Say it again? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. We're going to get to that. What was this Kodesh HaKadoshim? Why is this space so holy? It's a good question. We'll get to that. And in the Kodesh HaKadoshim was this Aron, this ark, right? We have upstairs the Aron Kodesh where the Torah is, and that's really supposed to be a replica of this. It's copying this, not a replica in the exact shape, but in this Aron, in this ark, was the tablets, was the Tuluchot, right? Moshe gave us the tablets. What happened to them? They were kept in the Aron. Where are they now? Maybe we'll have that class next week. So you need to come back next week. Well, what's his name? Jones, Indiana Jones? Maybe ask him. No, incorrect. And this was 3 things were in the Aron Kodesh. The first set of the luchos, the full ones. Then there was the broken luchos, right? Moshe smashed them. What happened to those? Were they swept up into that? So no, they were collected and they were put into the Aron as well, so they were together. And there's a lot of depth to that as well. And then there was a tiny Torah scroll, which fit inside there. A Torah scroll, a tiny Torah scroll. So 3 things. A Torah scroll that Moses wrote himself, the luchos, the tablets, and the broken tablets. What we're going to speak about... What? Say that again? What skin did he write it on? The Torah can be written on the skin of any animal, and any kosher animal. No, it has to be written on leather, on parchment, sorry. The parchment is of a kosher animal. Which animal did he use? I don't know. It could be cow, it could be... Traditionally, Torah scrolls are written on cow skin, I believe, actually. Okay, but we are going to speak about not the Aron itself, actually, but what was on top of the Aron. As you could see on the TV, I'm sure everyone's familiar with that picture. On the Aron were these 2 angels. So we actually could see it straight from the source. Sorry if I could ask you to start with A.